Did you hear that?
I did. We're recording.
Welcome to Conversations with Beth, where curiosity meets connection. I'm Beth Lees. I'm a lifelong spiritual explorer, a passionista, and a lover of deep, meaningful conversations. And sometimes those conversations are delightfully unexpected. This podcast is all about getting to know amazing people in a fun and intimate way through interesting questions that spark laughter, insight, and those holy shift moments where suddenly your perspective changes. So get comfy, open your heart, and let's dive into some real soulful conversation. I'm super excited to have as my guest today Carol Shwidock. She's a dear friend, and she is a woman whose strength, spirit, and soul-centered wisdom are nothing short of inspiring. Carol Shwidock is the founder of Harmony Yoga, a Kripalu-based practice rooted in breath, movement, and the ancient wisdom of five elements from both Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. Her work empowers students to access their own innate healing potential one breath at a time. Before founding Harmony Yoga in the wake of 9/11, Carol spent 25 years as an occupational therapist. And over the past 2 decades, she has grown into a deeply respected yoga therapist, guiding individuals and groups through practices that support healing from anxiety, depression, chronic pain, so many challenges. And her classes, retreats, and private sessions are infused with compassion, presence, and a profound understanding of energy medicine. So today we're going to dive into some healing, some surrender, and the wisdom that comes from living with both purpose and presence. And I'm so honored to share this conversation with Miss Carol Shwidock. Woohoo!
Thank you, my soul sister.
Woohoo, baby!
To be here.
So good to see you again. Thank you
Always.
for re-recording this. I forgot to hit record on the first time.
No worries.
But you and I both trust that everything is in divine order, right?
And to be
And
that we'll have this conversation again.
exactly.
We'll have another shift and another giggle.
There you go. No giggles.
You?
Okay. So let's just dive right in and maybe you can share with me what's one truth that you hold today that maybe your younger self wouldn't have believed or understood.
Mm, very personal question.
Very personal. I like to dive in. You know me.
Do that. So, you know, when I was younger, I used to tell everybody everything. Honestly, I was such a chatty Cathy. And I just needed to say my story over and over again to a million people. That was, I think, how I processed. And I think as I've gotten older, I realized that I still need to hear myself think, but I do it in a different way. And I do it more in journaling, and maybe I choose a few friends and soul sisters, and best friends to talk to, but I don't tell everybody everything anymore. Um, it's
Wow.
yeah, I think
That's
that's a
big.
big
So
shift.
how did that shift happen for you? Was there an awareness?
I think it's an awareness. Yeah, I think it's just noticing that when you're saying a negative story, you're also reliving it,
Yeah.
and it's not healthy to do that. And so, trying to teach about positivity and energy work, I was noticing that energy, I was getting revved up again just by repeating the story over and over again. And it wasn't helpful, you know? So we do that as humans, right? We
We
share,
do it.
but it's the noticing of that we're doing this. And can we find the pause button, which is what the breath is all about, and then begin again? And it's hard. I still find myself. I mean, we're not perfect. We're you know spiritual beings having this human experience. And it's the learning over and over again that, oh, and maybe I didn't say it that kindly. And maybe I need to have a do-over.
I love that. I mean, the stories we tell are very powerful. And yes, we can tell our story the same way over and over and over and over again, but we're not the same people today that we were yesterday.
Totally.
And we can shift that story. And we can go from being the victim in our story to being the shero in our story, right?
Yeah. Oh, the shiro. I like that.
Shero, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also that awareness of, oh, there I go again. And it's in your head, like, oh, but I don't want to go in that direction. Can I find the pause button? And just go, let me just, and for me, that's why meditation it's been a major shift for me, honestly. And
I
I
love
know,
that. So you want to talk to a little bit about that? Because I know that you've been doing some new things recently.
yeah, yeah, I'm on my 85th day,
Woohoo!
which is major for me. I mean, I do yoga every day, but sitting and pausing is, I'm a vata in Ayurvedic medicine, which is about air and space, and they're always moving, and they need to move. Like I move every day. I walk, I run, I dance. I move every day. I do yoga, but I really also need to find the ground. And I do think that the people that come to me are often type A, that like to move and are very vata oriented, and I help them find the ground. Together we find the ground. And the meditation, it roots me. And that's the earth energy, right? It roots me there so that I can rise up and notice, am I in my head? And can I come back to the fire of my heart? In Chinese medicine, it's interesting. Chinese medicine, the heart is fire. And in Ayurvedic medicine, it's air. And it's just labels. It's
Right.
not, it doesn't matter. It's
A
just that
category.
it's a category. It's just a different way of saying, a frame of reference, you know. But the heart is so much more important than the mind to me. Like I ask this question often. I'll ask you a question. I know you're interviewing me, but I'm asking you. Do you think you are your mind?
Oh no.
Right?
I'm not my body. I'm not my mind. Yeah.
Right. And I am, you are, we are that inner self, that essence, that I don't know, it's that
That
inner
je ne
voice.
sais quoi.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I live up here, I could get, verklempt in my genetic zones. I mean, that's what happens. My mind goes into a story, and I'm in the story, and I'm not present. And that's huge to notice within yourself that you're in the woulda, coulda, shouldas, you're in the past or the future. And how do you bring it back to the present? And for me, the best way that I know how is the breath, because it's always there.
It's always there.
It's the first thing that happens, right? It's the last thing that happens. And it's a gift. And like really, like just put your hand on your heart and put your hand on your belly, right? And just feel, just notice that there's this energy, and it's happening all the time.
It's happening all the time, whether we notice it or not.
Right. And can we notice it? Can we be in the awareness of saying, there I go. Let me bring it back. So meditation really helps me. It's and they say it takes 21 days, right, to make a habit.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. But I think just if you do something every day, a little bit, even 5 minutes,
It
it
can make
just
a huge impact.
100%,
And you can totally change the trajectory of your life. Just
100%.
5 minutes a day doing something differently.
Yes. And actually, I want to say, I know you're interviewing me, but I'm saying to you, you changed the trajectory of my life in
Oh,
many ways, honestly, because I'll tell the story if it's
tell
okay.
the story.
So Beth was teaching this vision board class at a studio space that I was teaching yoga at. And everybody was doing their vision board on like losing weight and getting a house and, all the things. And at the time, my husband was waiting for a liver transplant. And so my vision board was envisioning the liver coming. It was pretty heavy. And afterwards, I went up to Beth and I just said, I know my story was a little bit different than everybody else's. And she shared with me that her husband had been waiting for a liver transplant and that he didn't get it and that he had passed. And it was just like, and we had the same doctor, same hospital. So it was just like this immediate connection of, I know you. I know what you're going through.
I remember that moment. It was super powerful.
It was. And you were the person when I joined TLC, which is the best networking place to be. Oh, and it rhymes. I remember you saying to me, talk about the fact that you were an occupational therapist for 25 years, because that is who I am. You can't take the therapist out of the girl.
No, you can't.
And so it's, and when I see somebody, whether I see them one-on-one or in a retreat or a workshop and in a class, I use those skills,
Yeah, you do.
Right. So,
That's part of your history that you carry forward with you.
yeah, yeah,
But the story thing is really, it is a powerful, super powerful thing to recognize that we have a story. I mean, it took me a lot of years to realize that I had a story,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And just recognizing that gives you the power to shift things, which I think
100%.
is really cool.
And
So,
also, I think to know that you're not alone, like to know that we're not in this alone. Like I have to tell you, I'm looking at the screen right now. Do you see the rainbow
I
right there?
do see the rainbow.
Not alone, girl.
We are not alone.
There is energy that is the stuff that we breathe in and the stuff that we breathe out, and there is something greater than us that is collaborating with us, co-conspiring with us. And I think when you know that, then you feel empowered that
Yeah,
you're
and
not
you feel connected in ways that you
totally.
don't if you don't see that
Yeah, yeah,
and hear that. Like I heard your chimes in the background just now, the wind blowing through them, you know?
yeah, exactly. And that's the present moment,
Yeah,
right?
being in
And
the present.
yeah, and I think that because I've experienced a lot of death, my brother died when I was 31, my husband died when I was 54, my parents have passed. I just know that they're with me.
Yeah.
And that is comforting.
Yeah,
And I
so you've had a lot of grief. You've worked through a lot of grief in your life. You've been cracked open by grief.
yes, 100%.
So what are some of the tools that's helped you get through that? Like when did you have an awareness that there was something beyond you?
Well, when my brother passed and I was 31, I had a 6-month-old, and I didn't know what to do with all that. I just, because it happened suddenly, like overnight, like I'd spoken to him. And then the next morning at 5 in the morning, we thought it was a patient calling for my husband. And then my husband answered the phone. And then when he told me my brother died, I was literally
Wow,
on the toilet bowl throwing up. Like I was just like, what are you talking about?
that's huge.
I had just spoken to him, but he had had a head injury 6 months before, and he had, a cerebral, um, bleed, and it just happened. But so we went up to his shop up in Maine, and we walk in the shop, and Spirit in the Sky is playing on the radio. I don't even know why his radio was on. Like maybe he
Wow.
left it on, because it was the day after, and it was Spirit in the Sky, and I was just like, what? And that was my first like aha moment, really. And then what happened is I didn't know what to do with how I was feeling. So I went to see a rabbi because my daughter was 6 months old and I wanted to name her after him. And the rabbi, who was an amazing person who also shifted my life, Rabbi Mark Golub, he talked to me a lot about just how I was feeling, and then he said, we I don't know how we got on the conversation of singing, and I'm also a singer, and he invited me to audition for a play, and that was when I started doing theater. Was because my brother died, and I went to the
Wow.
rabbi, and the rabbi said, "We're doing Pajama Game. Why don't you audition?" And that's here I am, 35 years later, and now you know how old I am, and
All right,
and
I'm no good at math.
and that's how I found my voice, honestly. From my brother in a
That's
roundabout way.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
you've had a huge life. You have a big story.
yeah. And then when 9/11 happened, so now I had two kids, and I was working from bus to bus as an occupational therapist. I drop them off, I do my thing, and then we'd all do our homework together. I'd write my notes for my patients. 9/11 happened, and 2 days later I went in and I said, I was doing home care, and I said, I'm quitting. And they said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I don't know, but I can't do this anymore because my husband was getting sicker and I was working with very sick people and I just couldn't do it anymore." And that was the catalyst for me. And we were building a room in the house at that time, a master bathroom, and we needed a room to support it. And it was just an empty room with a bathroom and a beautiful view of the golf course. And the painter said to me, "What should I put on the space?" But the can. And I said, "On the paint can." I said, "Put the yoga space." And I was like, "What?" And honestly, I had been in a yoga studio. I had been taking a yoga class during 9/11, but I wasn't thinking about being a teacher at all. And then I went to a party and I met a career counselor, and I said, "I'm an OT, but I'm thinking about applying for Kripalu. What do you think?" And she said, "Do it." And so I did, and I got accepted, and she's still my student,
I
here
love that.
years later. And yeah, and it was really listening to the callings.
They were holy shift moments. Your brother dying, 9/11, right?
Yes. And I remember my mother in her little beautiful Jewish Brooklyn accent saying, "What? You're not going to be an occupational therapist anymore?"
Wasn't your mom an occupational
Yes,
therapist?
she was. She was a CODA, a certified OT assistant. And she was so proud of me that I went to graduate school and for OT, and I was doing well, but I didn't want to do the illness anymore. And I love doing wellness,
I
right?
know, and it's all it like, I mean, I've known you for what, like 20 years or something? You just like beam energy and positivity and you're just so nurturing. You bring all that OT experience and all those reasons you became an OT and all of that to your life and to your students and your clients and all of that.
I try.
You do. You're like that. The rainbow's shining through you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It's
truth be told,
beautiful.
I have a little something on the window that's
No.
it's not always there. That's the thing. It's not always there. It's on the floor. It's everywhere. So it's happening. It's there. It's not usually there. So thank you,
You're
Rainbow.
you're the lighthouse, which is beautiful.
Well, I try to make a difference. One breath at a time, right?
You do.
And the thing is, it's not about me. It's really about teaching people how to heal themselves. And I really believe that. It's nothing I'm doing. I'm in collaboration, but it's really, let me show you some things that you can do, whether we're doing tapping, right, to open up your immune system, right, or like softly, like letting go of negativity and gently moving and doing meditation. And, that is the shifts, because when I was an OT, I remember teaching these people in wheelchairs. We were doing, arm exercises, right, as an OT. And all of a sudden I started doing, like shaking like this. And I remember this little old lady saying, "I want to do what they're doing." Because it was like Cocoon, that movie? They woke up. The people that were in the wheelchairs that were sitting there, like, all of a sudden they were like, "Oh," because energy gets stuck.
Yeah, you got to get it moving.
That's it. you
It's
know?
like the balance between the moving and the just being still. Like you were talking about how you have this like need to move, which is probably what drove you to yoga in the first place in a lot of
Sure.
ways, wanting to
Yeah,
be in the moving place. And the meditation, which you're focusing on also now, which is just being still and observing, right? Instead
yeah,
of needing to move.
yeah,
Um, and to me, life is about a balance of the two.
yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. And it's the noticing, right? And also, I use essential oils and I do Reiki, which you helped me do my tune up for my Reiki.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if I can show you guys, but I do sound
Woohoo!
healing also. So and to me, I'm a one woman band. I mean,
You
I'm
are a
her
one-woman
teacher,
band.
but I don't have any teachers, you know, because when I was starting my practice, I had this room, right? I graduated from Kripalu. I had this room. I had class. I graduated on a Sunday. I had class on Tuesday, and I had students. I mean, it just happened, right? But then when my husband was getting sicker, I couldn't manage other teachers. Like I just couldn't go that route. So I always just kind of stuck with my own thing, and even I just recently, now it's 5 years, but I got my 300 and 300 hour in Chinese medicine and yoga. I wasn't looking for it. I was on Facebook and something came up and I was like, oh, this looks cool. And it was in New Paltz. And I drove to New Paltz for the day to take this class. It was a calling, honestly. And
Well,
and
you're always following the breadcrumbs,
yes, yeah.
which I love about you.
And I would recommend that people follow their breadcrumbs because, that's your own breadcrumbs, right? Not other people's breadcrumbs.
Right. Those little places in life where you're curious, where you're like, oh, I want to go there.
Yeah, and that's the inner voice,
It is.
you know, and not the bad bird, right? The one that tells you you're too stupid, you're this, you're that. Not that voice,
No.
because that's there too.
Of course.
The one that's just like the whispers.
Well, and I feel like you need to have a space where you can get quiet enough so you can hear those whispers instead of the loud, obnoxious bad bird, you know? Rah,
Yes.
rah, 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 rah.
Have you heard this before? Ego means edging God out.
Oh, I love that.
Right. I learned that from David G. He's one of my meditation teachers. And yeah, like when you're in the ego, it's not the place to be.
No, and that bad bird is loud and
Oh
obnoxious,
yeah,
right?
yes, yes,
So when you can sit and be quiet and just like create space for those little whispers that are saying, yeah, come to New Paltz.
yeah. Come to Kripalu.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I have to say, I had only been there, and it was an ashram. And when I got accepted, I was like, "What am I
What
doing?"
cult am I joining?
I was driving up there. This was in 2001, 2002. I was driving up there going, I hope I made the right choice. But what happened was when I was there, I couldn't stop smiling. And I went up to my teachers and they were like the original people that lived there. I mean, I really learned from, amazing people. And I said, do you notice that I haven't stopped smiling? They said, actually, Carol, we have.
We've been meaning to talk to you about that.
I just was blissed out because at 45, I finally figured out what to do with my life. And I was just like, I was so happy. And the joy is always there on the inside. It's whether or not you can get quiet enough sometimes to know it's there, even amongst all the chaos. And we've been through a lot of chaos, and we're still going through chaos.
Yeah, it's like dusting it off. You got to dust off the joys every once in a while.
Well, being with you, my love, is always joyful.
Oh,
Honestly, you dust off the joy.
I'll give it a blowjob.
What? No, but you do. You're hysterical. Shifts and giggles.
Just and giggles, baby. Hey, you want to pull Want to pull a card from your fabulous card deck?
You mean the Harmony Yoga Chinese Medicine 5 Elements card deck?
I
Yes.
mean that one, that very one.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to pause for a moment, close our eyes, and ask yourself, what do you need to know right now from the universe? And you tell me when.
When?
Okay. Ooh, we picked the earth energy. Oh, this is perfect. I am trusting. What is the sign you need right now to trust more?
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
a great
What's the
question.
sign you need right now to trust more? Yeah. And sometimes I actually pick a sign and then I look for it. Like I ask the universe, this is what I need, this is my sign, and then show me the sign. And you might get it that day, you might get it a different day, but then you got to remember your question. Like, what did I want to know?
Wait, let me write that down so I remember, right? Ooh,
Right.
so should I pick one? Pick a sign?
Yeah, pick a sign. Like what would be your sign?
My sign would be a bird
Okay.
singing.
Okay. All right. So whatever question you just asked yourself that you wanted to know, was it a yes or no question?
Yeah,
Okay. So if you don't find the bird singing, that's an answer too,
I love that.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So, where can people get this card deck and find out more about you?
Yeah. HarmonyYogaStudio.com, one Y, right? So HarmonyYoga studio.com is the best place to find me on the website. And yeah, I'm on Instagram, Harmony Yoga, one Y. Um, and I'm on Insight Timer, which is
I
an app,
love that.
a free app. I have 16 meditations on there. A lot of them are about Chinese medicine. I'm on a daily TV show on cable television, which is now like syndicated. And there's 9 different episodes, and basically they're the DVDs that I recorded. And people are still buying DVDs, by the way. Just
I
mailed.
can't, I
Yeah,
can't believe it, but I'm very happy for you.
yeah. But they're also streaming on the website. So yeah, you can go to. It's called jbstv.org. And you can take a daily yoga class with me at 6:30 every morning.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, go on the website and can see what's happening and retreats. I just came back from a retreat in Costa Rica, and I already booked another one for next year.
I love it.
Yeah,
You're
so
always moving and grooving.
got to keep moving and grooving, and you have to pause. That's the message of today, right?
I love it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much,
Oh,
Carol.
I love you madly.
I love you back. Uh,
Be front.
Stay tuned for more episodes of Shifts and Giggles, Conversations with Beth. And thanks for being here. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Namaste.
Namaste.